Hello, guys, and welcome to Odds on Premier League Matchday 18th. This is Christmas period. This is non-stopping after enjoying Boxing Day, after so many good picks from Tom Rennie. Here he is, Tom Rennie. Hello, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing very well, loving the festive feast of football. How about you?
All good, all good. Enjoying it as well. Looking forward to listening to your tips. The favorites won in Boxing Day. So, time to analyze the next games with Tom, with you. Guys, remember, as we can read here, like the video, subscribe, post your tips, your comments. And now let's go on with the show. Only 1 day break on the 29th because on the 30th we have more games. Tom, I hope you take a good breath to enjoy this day. And then tomorrow is your West Ham playing against Brentford. I think you should be, and I guess you are actually worried about West Ham, only 1 point above relegation, other defeat against Arsenal despite taking the lead. So now 4 consecutive defeats with only 2 goals scored. And Brentford, they kept doing things well, as we saw against Spurs. Tom, I'm not sure if we should trust these odds. West Ham favorite, you think, to beat Brentford?
Well, I wouldn't go anywhere near West Ham at 2-1 to win this game because West Ham have been incredibly poor this season. Probably the most underwhelming team in the Premier League across this campaign. I think that, you don't learn too much about losing at Arsenal, which is what happened to West Ham a couple of days ago, because Arsenal have been so good. They've beaten everybody at home. They're top of the table. It's the toughest away fixture in the league at the moment. So there's a pinch of salt in that result. But look at West Ham this season. One of the lowest scorers in the division with 13 scored, just 4 wins from 16. But not only that, it's the 10 defeats which you've got to look at with West Ham. They're not even drawing games, even games where there are so many teams in this division that are broadly similar. Villa, Leicester, West Ham, Wolves, that anyone could win on their day. And so often those games end in draws. Look at Brentford's 8 draws. Look at Fulham's 4 draws. West Ham keep finding ways to lose. Even at 1-1 in the 92nd minute, they've gone on to lose games, as they did recently against Crystal Palace. So at this moment in time, I wouldn't touch West Ham with anybody's money. Lost their last couple of home games as well. Lost against Crystal Palace, lost against Leicester, lost against Blackburn Rovers in the Carabao Cup. And David Moyes has got a problem here. He's got a problem in that the old ways aren't working, and he seems to have no other ideas. He's not being bold. He's not being imaginative. And at the moment, it's the same team, in the same style, in the same setup, game in, game out, and it keeps ending in the same result. He's barely changing personnel. And you've got to add that to injuries to his best 2 centre-halves in Naya Forget and Kurt Zouma. Scamacca was missing for the Arsenal game. Antonio's barely scored all season. The issues keep on piling up for West Ham. And for Brentford, 1 defeat in their last 6. A really good draw against Spurs at the weekend just gone, despite the fact that they were 2-0 up in that game. It's still a really good result. They're very tough to beat, and they won this fixture last year. In the last minute, they won the game against West Ham, and they also beat them at the Community Stadium. So I can only see a Brentford win. That's the only result I can see possible here. The draw market at 4-1, sure, if you're a West Ham fan desperately clinging on to something. But I'd be looking here at Brentford to score, Brentford to win by scoring goals in the second half. Look at the early goal scoring market as well. When West Ham have played this season, the first 10 minutes has often seen goals scored against the Hammers. So look at Brentford winning both halves. Look at Brentford scoring the opening 10 minutes. Look at them scoring in the latter 10 minutes. And look at Ivan Toney as well. Ivan Toney playing up against Craig Dawson and maybe the abominable Thilo Kehrer, one of the worst footballers ever to lace his boots. I think he could have a field day, him and Brian Mbumo. So you've got a team in Brentford who are high energy, high press. You've got a team in West Ham that are so flat right now, they may as well be horizontal. Don't touch West Ham at 2-1. Brentford around 4s on its own is quite nice. Double that up with over 5 corners and Toney scores, and you could make some decent money.
Indeed, beautiful odds for backing Brentford. We have some comments here going for Brentford draw no bet from Jim, from Millie. Actually, this is 2.8. These are brilliant odds. If you go for Brentford and draw, double chance, like Pablo is suggesting, also is good actually, 1.85. So very good. If we back Brentford, I don't know, Tom, how long is gonna stay David Moyes in West Ham bench if this keeps going in the wrong way?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I think you're looking at, if West Ham lose this and they lose to Leeds on Wednesday next week, there's no way any Premier League manager survives. Doesn't matter how much credit they've got in the bank. If you lose 12 of 18, you get sacked. So David Moyes, if he loses these two, could be gone by this time next week.
Only 2 games drawn, as you are saying, for West Ham, the lowest tally in the Premier League, together with Man United, Man City, and Arsenal. Arsenal actually only 1 game drew. And the next game, this is a good one. Liverpool, Leicester City. I mentioned at the beginning that the favorites won, and the big stars actually performed really well. We saw Mohamed Salah tapping, scoring the first goal. By the way, beautiful pass from Trent Alexander-Arnold in the build-up of this goal. 3 consecutive victories in the Premier League for Liverpool and Leicester. We left them before the break in good shape, Tom, but they lost. No option for them against Newcastle.
Yeah, they were on a decent run before the World Cup break. I think it was 4 wins in 5, and they beat West Ham with a great James Maddison performance in the last game before the World Cup. But against Newcastle, they were very, very poor. For Liverpool, really good performance against Aston Villa a couple of days ago. I think that the signing of Cody Gakpo, of course, can't play in this game, but gives everyone a lift. Someone like that coming in. Darwin Núñez, superb in some moments, a bit all over the place in other moments, terrible on one-on-ones with the goalkeeper, but brilliant in moments where you don't quite expect it. Looks like he's settling in, though, at Liverpool. Villa played a suicidal high line, which I wasn't expecting, and certainly I don't think Liverpool were expecting, and Liverpool took great advantage of it. You mentioned Salah scoring again as well, which will make a big difference. Still no Jota, still no Firmino, still no Luis Diaz, so issues moving forward for Liverpool, but you fully expect them at home to be the dominant side in this game. Doubts about James Maddison for Leicester. Without him, they are not a coherent attacking force. Defensively, some of the old issues came to the fore again against Newcastle a couple of days ago. 28 goals conceded. Only Forest and Southampton in the bottom 3 have a worse defensive record all told. Throw Bournemouth in there as well than Leicester City at this moment in time. So it's a bad defensive record. The midfield has a lack of options without Maddison. And offensively, Patson Daka is nowhere near the quality of Jamie Vardy, who isn't a starter in the Premier League anymore. So every scenario says Liverpool win. I'd be looking at both Salah to score and Núñez to score, but look at the Salah market, look at the Salah doubles market, look at Liverpool winning both halves of this game. I actually think quite a convincing victory here as well for Liverpool, as it often is for them against the poorer team. So you look at the Asian handicap market too, maybe -1, 1.5 for Liverpool going into this game. Salah scores, Liverpool win, 2 or 3-0, no less to go.
As Jim is saying, no good odds here for Liverpool to win. You have to go Asian handicap -1.5. And Darwin is Captain Chaos, Jim is saying. And actually, you mentioned Salah to score, and Danny in the Serie show actually said something that I think he was spot on, also to be applied for the Premier League. No, in the Boxing Day, we saw the good players performing really well after having a break in the World Cup, and the top teams also delivering. So that leads us to the next game, Tom. Wolves, Man United, and look at these odds for Man United to beat Wolves. I am very surprised, around 2. Man United, comfortable victory against Forest. We saw a great Casemiro. For those who don't watch other leagues, Casemiro is a top player, and it's time for him also to show it in the Premier League. Whereas for Wolves, Tom, at least they can breathe after the first victory under Julen Lopetegui, beating Everton in the very last minute. Massive victory for Wolves, but again, these odds for Man United, I would always take them.
Man United at 2-1 in this game is worth taking. There is almost no discussion to be had here. Double your money for Man United to beat a poor Wolverhampton Wanderers team. I'd absolutely take it. I think Man United have underperformed at times this season. I think across the last few games before the World Cup, there was a draw, there was a loss, there was a couple of shonky wins. The one against West Ham, they didn't quite deserve, but got it thanks to great saves from David De Gea. But I thought very impressive against a poor Nottingham Forest. I think Marcus Rashford is in terrific form. You mentioned Casemiro. Took a few weeks, I think, to settle in at Manchester United, but is looking apart now at this moment in time. A chance Lisandro Martinez or Harry Maguire might come in at central defence, which will improve things a bit more. And they look very solid. They look solid and steady and moving in the right direction. As for Wolverhampton Wanderers, you mentioned that the victory over Everton, it was a smash and grab. It wasn't a great performance. It was still a very negative, try and nick what you can kind of performance. I think they took advantage of the Goodison crowd turning on their own team, and they stole a victory. It wasn't a great performance. They scored the first goal from Podence massively against the run of play, and Ryan Ait-Nouri's winner was in the 95th minute or something when Everton were throwing everything forward because they felt, probably quite rightly, that it was a must-win. A draw didn't really help Everton, and it doesn't help in games like that against fellow strugglers. So not wildly convinced yet by Wolverhampton Wanderers. I don't see Diego Costa as a starter in the Premier League in this era at this moment in time. So watching him kind of amble around like a grandfather at the buffet in most games is a bit depressing. And I think it's an issue for Wolves. So look, in this game, I think Man United are going to win it. Look out for the Marcus Rashford market, who is on tremendous form right now. He's got pace, he's got confidence, he plays right across that front line. So I'd be looking here for Man United to win. I wouldn't go Asian handicap, but I certainly would go Wolves do not score. Only, I think, 10 goals now scored this season, including the 2 against Everton. Man United win without conceding, double it up with Marcus Rashford scoring a goal.
We have in our comments different opinions. Actually, we saw Man United struggling but winning last season against Wolves. Wolves won in Old Trafford. We have Jim, Man United to win 2-0. Pablo, Man United to win easily. But we have someone also, Flippy on the beat, saying that Wolverhampton will get a draw, or Armin, for instance, pointing out that with the new manager, as we saw with Unai Emery and Villa, perhaps Lopetegui's elbow, to raise the hopes of Wolverhampton. Still early days, let's see, but I'm not also very confident on Julen Lopetegui, to be honest. But let's see. Next game, Tom, in the south of England, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace. You've been saying this season, even with when Bournemouth were performing really well, that they will struggle. They are still 3 points away from relegation, so it's not bad at all. But they lost to Chelsea, something normal. And they are facing Crystal Palace. They suffer a harsh defeat against Fulham, of course, down to 9 men, but we didn't see that coming, especially that big result, 3-0 at home.
Yeah, in the end, I think in the Premier League, the quality of the players that you have will make the difference in the end. And Bournemouth don't have a Premier League squad. They've got 1 or 2 decent players. It was good to see Lloyd Kelly back against Chelsea. Dominic Solanke's had his moments this season, but in general, it's not a squad good enough to survive in the Premier League. Sitting 14th right now, I think as the season goes on, they will slide down the table, and it's 1 win in 6, which kind of shows that's going to be the case. For Crystal Palace, horror game against Fulham. I was with their first team coach, Sean Derry, yesterday, who was saying everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, including, they had to play Wilfried Zaha up front because there was no Mateta and Oddspedia Edouard. They had the sending off for Tyrick Mitchell, the second yellow for James Tompkins. It was a horror show of a game. I think they hit the bar early doors as well, which would have changed things. So I think Palace will feel like they can get their season back up and running in a game like this. I wouldn't go anywhere near Bournemouth at the moment. With the amount of goals they concede, with the lack of Premier League quality, even this being a home game, I think you're looking here at Crystal Palace trying to keep the score down, keep it tight as the game goes on. I think they'll run away with it. Look for Palace to win this game in the second half, and look out for Wilfried Zaha, who in home games, I wouldn't play him as central striker. In away games, as we saw against West Ham recently, he will chase down defenders. He will nick the ball off them. He'll make something happen, and he'll score goals. So I would look here for Crystal Palace to win in a low-scoring game, under 1.5. That's a 1-0 victory, and Wilfried Zaha to score it. Palace win.
Close game. Niels is asking you, Tom, Moore or Solanke to bet on a shot on target?
I wouldn't look at Solanke. I wouldn't look at Kiefer Moore even, because if he's going to have a shot on target, it's going to be from across. I think he's going up against Joachim Andersen, who loves the physical battle at centre half for Palace, as we've seen along with Darwin Núñez this season and other tall strikers he's played against. So I wouldn't look at Kiefer Moore. Maybe Solanke if they hit him on the break, but not really. I wouldn't put anything on anything to do with Bournemouth right now. They're simply not a Premier League quality team, in my view.
It's a market that Tom likes a lot, actually. Shots on target. Pablo agrees with you. Another game, this one, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace. Next one, Fulham, Southampton. If you said before that you wouldn't go near Bournemouth, I guess we can say exactly the same for Southampton. 10-point difference between these two teams. Southampton, bottom of the table, another defeat in Boxing Day against Brighton. And Fulham, we just commented how good they are this season, actually, and beating also Crystal Palace in Selhurst Park. 9 points above relegation. I think not even in their best dreams they thought they were going to be this good at this stage of the season.
Yeah, great tally at this point for Fulham, 22 points. It's probably only about 14 points away from safety. 4 wins, 2 draws with still over half a season to go. So really impressive. They've done that on the back of some great defensive showings from Tim Ream, who scored against Crystal Palace a couple of days ago. But Leno's been great in goal. Paulinho in midfield has been terrific, as has Harrison Reed. But all that being said, if you've got a goal scorer, it makes a massive difference. And Mitrovic scoring again, got taken off early against Crystal Palace to rest him for this game. It makes a massive difference. He is already in double figures for the season. And often I've said to you in previews this year, if Mitrovic is fit, I would back Fulham. If he's not, I'm not so sure. And I stay on that fence for this game. I hear that he's fit. He should be playing. And with Mitrovic scoring goals, you're more than likely to win. And at 2-1, a bit like Man United earlier, that's a really decent figure if you're looking for good winners this weekend, because Southampton are a poor Premier League team. They replaced Ralph Hasenhuttl with Nathan Jones, who is a championship manager at best. The squad is made up of a lot of youthful players, inexperienced players, or never going to be players, along with James Ward-Prowse, who spent too long at Southampton, in my view, for his career development. And probably whatever happens this year, will find another home next season. They don't create many chances. They're defensively poor. And I think in this game, you could only see a Fulham victory. I think Fulham will overawe and overpower Southampton. 2-1 is nice. Mitrovic to score makes it around 3s and 4s. I'd be looking here for Fulham to win this game quite comfortably, actually. And if you feel bold and you feel brave, you could look at the handicaps here. You could look at Fulham to score over 1.5 goals. You could be looking at an Asian handicap there. I think Fulham win this very comfortably and move to 25 points after 17 games.
All right, everyone here agrees. Actually, Fulham to win, straight victory. This is good odds, so let's go for it. Emily is adding also both teams to score for this game. Next one, I guess we are all gonna agree on the outcome of the next one. Man City, Everton. I guess the gap cannot be bigger for this game, as I said at the beginning, previously, the top players delivered in the first match day after the World Cup. So Haaland did as well with a brace against Leeds. So City bounced back after that defeat against Brentford. And after seeing what happened in the previous game also with Everton and Wolves, Tom, this is the 5-0 game of the weekend? Or even more?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, put money on 5-0. Yeah, do it. I mean, look at all sorts of handicaps here for City to win comfortably. At least 3-0. So that's over 2.5 goals. You could even look at the -3, -4 handicap level here. It's bold, but certainly there's money to be made. On a straight-up City win at 1.1, 1.2, there is no money to be made. You can certainly win a decent amount if you go City win both halves. Look at the Haaland hat-trick market again. Nearly did it against Leeds on Wednesday. Probably should have done it against Leeds on Wednesday. Scored 2 and missed 3 great chances. What's that, about 8-1, 9-1 for a Haaland hat-trick, which seems insane to me. But that's what I've been looking at here. I mean, they're just incredibly impressive. The squad is incredibly deep. The Sovereign Wealth Fund has certainly given them an incredible squad to work with. And, they're going to win comfortably here. So poor Everton, couldn't play Conor Cody a couple of days ago. Yerry Mina came in. I think Cody comes back in. We know Frank Lampard is an awfully negative, caution-first manager. I think the Everton fans are not particularly happy with the complete lack of bravery in this team. They will play essentially 7-3-0 as a formation, and they'll get tanked for it. 3-0 minimum, and look at the Haaland hat-trick market.
But odds for this game, unless you go for Haaland to score a hat-trick, a big Asian handicap, as someone is suggesting here, Man City to score in both halves, these kind of things, to add better odds. Next game, Newcastle Leeds, Newcastle to win, which is happening a lot recently, actually, 6 consecutive victories, 8 out of the last 9. Newcastle to win, 1.5 against Leeds. Tom, would you take this 1.5, or at one point needs Newcastle have to drop points, no?
Yeah, I think Newcastle do win this game, though. At some point they will. And Arsenal next week on Tuesday is going to be a really, really great game of football at Emirates Stadium. But in this one, I don't see Newcastle losing. I don't see Newcastle dropping points. Incredibly impressive against Leicester. You know, I thought they would win that game, and I tipped them to win that game, but I didn't think they were going to be as impressive as they were at the King Power Stadium. Joe Linton, Almiron, both sensational. Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Bruno Guimaraes, you know, all of them having tremendous seasons, massive impact on games for Newcastle United, and 3-0 didn't flatter them. Defensively strong and offensively creative. At 1.5, tenner on, fiver back, that ain't too bad. You could just back that here. But I think you could actually go a bit bolder. Leeds concede a lot of goals. I think it's around 30, 29 goals conceded. Another 3 against Man City on Wednesday. But frankly, it could have been 7, 8, 9. Grealish could have scored a hat-trick. Haaland could have scored a hat-trick. I know it's Man City. But I have issues with Leeds defensively. Tyler Adams coming back in will make a bit of a difference, but it's not a great defensive unit that Jesse Marsch is working with. And the fullbacks are basically out of position centre-halves, which is not going to be great when you're taking on someone like Miguel Almiron, who is in such scintillating form. So I think Newcastle win this game. Look at Miguel Almiron with his incredible goal-scoring run to score in this game as well. I think Newcastle are going to win both halves. I think they win without conceding in this game. I don't see Leeds scoring, and I think it's going to be a quite comfortable victory. So 1.5 is nice. Go over 1.5 to make it slightly more interesting. That brings you around 2-1.
Okay, Newcastle to win 2-0. In your opinion, we have Ojangole and Jim going for both teams to score in this game. In previous games, actually, Leeds also were able to score many goals, for instance, against Tottenham. But against Tottenham, to be honest, everyone scores goals nowadays. And 3 more games. Tom, next one is, in my opinion, the best game on this match day. Brighton-Arsenal. This is a tricky game for Arsenal after the victory against West Ham. What a goal, by the way, the third one. Because Brighton, they are very close to European spots. 3 victories out of the last 4. They beat Southampton. And when they are facing big teams, they are doing the job. They beat Chelsea comfortably. Man City struggle against them. But Arsenal to win, the odds are good, actually, 2.2. Do you think Arsenal will drop points, or we should back them?
I think Arsenal win, though I don't discount the draw market around 4-1. It's a great double chance opportunity, this one, for Arsenal as well, being at 2-1 to win. So if you go for draw and Arsenal to win, there's a decent amount of money to be made there. Brighton continue to surprise me, and as they surprise everybody, because it doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't make sense they're as good as they are. You know, Lallana was terrific against Southampton a few days ago. McAllister's not back as yet from winning the World Cup with Argentina. The players at defence, Dunk and Webster, and the goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez, they continue to look better footballers than we expect. And that's credit to De Zerbi, who's come in, and Graham Potter, who he replaced, that he's managed to really coach these players to improve. I think at some point it'll start falling apart for Brighton. And that may well be in this particular game. I think it'll be very competitive. And as you say, Brighton have picked up some terrific results against the top teams this season and in recent years. But Arsenal, even without Gabriel Jesus, the rest of it is there. And Nketiah is a good replacement. He's not a great player, but he's certainly a good replacement. But you look at the former Bukayo Saka, one of the players of the season, Martin Ødegaard in that group as well. Martinelli probably shouldn't have scored that goal he scored the other day. It was bad goalkeeping from Fabianski, but still a constant threat down Arsenal's left. Defence is strong. Goalkeeper's in great form. I just don't see a way in which Brighton are going to be able to dominate the game against Arsenal like they do in so many games. I think Arsenal have the lion's share of possession against Brighton, which is not easily done. And I can only see Arsenal winning the game. I mean, look, to be cautious, double chance it. But I think Arsenal are going to win. I don't think Brighton are going to be able to score against them. I might look low scoring, the under 2.5, that being 2-0, 1-0. But I just see the Arsenal train continuing to steamroll on. And that game against Newcastle on Tuesday next week is the one where I think things might come to a head. Arsenal win.
All right, Miguel and Ojangole as well. They are going for double chance for Arsenal, being cautious. Pablo also, Arsenal to win. The other team in the north of London, Tottenham at home playing against Aston Villa. Again, a team managed by Conte having so many problems in defense. They conceded 13 in the last 6, so at least 2 per game after the 2 conceded also against Brentford. They are not in good shape and they are facing Aston Villa. They lost, as I said before, against Liverpool at home. The last away game was a victory for Aston Villa. It's difficult to trust Tottenham, nowadays.
Well, the only thing you can trust is that Aston Villa will score first. Last 6 games in the Premier League, Tottenham have conceded the first goal. They seem to do nothing until the 60th minute in games of football before turning it on for 20 minutes and getting something from the game. And I think Aston Villa are the kind of team that could nick an early goal, could nick a first half goal. They're a good team in fits and starts at the moment. I think that Unai Emery is starting to have an impact on that team. Impressed at points by Douglas Luiz and Boubacar Kamara and John McGinn in the game against Liverpool a couple of days ago. And I think that Leon Bailey, one of God's own triers, is someone who could have a bit of an impact in this game as well. But look, I think you're looking at some obvious bets here if you follow recent trends. That would be at halftime, this game is 0-0. It might not even be worth getting to your seat until the start of the second half if you're thinking about heading to this game. In the second period, look at Villa to score the first goal, Tottenham to go on to win it, back Tottenham to come from behind to win, and look at Harry Kane to be on the score sheet for it. But I'd be going the over 1.5 goals in the game market. Both teams score. Villa score first. Tottenham win.
Actually, Tottenham to win from behind can be a good option. Once upon a time, this was good for Man United last season. This is for Tottenham. Aston Villa to score 1.5, as we can see now. Armin is telling us this, so good odds actually to take them. And the last game, Tom, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea. I think Chelsea have to win the winnables, that's for sure. They beat Bournemouth 2-0. And they should beat Forest, a team that lost 3-0 against Man United, to get closer to the Champions League spots. And actually, the odds are not bad to back Chelsea, 1.74.
Yeah, nice. Take it. Take 1.74. I think that might get to around 2 by the time this game comes around. So maybe watch to see the fluctuations in that market. But if it gets anywhere near 2, take it, because this is easy money. I think Chelsea will win this game. The Forest have had their moments this season, and I think they will get relegated, but they'll get around 30, 35 points, and they'll make it close for those above them. But I don't think they are going to make it. I think they bought a lot of players, but not a great deal of quality. I think that they've got some hard workers in the likes of Ryan Yates, but again, not a lot of players that I'd expect to play for other Premier League teams come next season. They picked up some good results at home. They beat West Ham. They beat Liverpool, scored a goal, kept it tight, took advantage of those teams on bad days. But I think Chelsea just have a bit too much goal-scoring threat, even without Reece James, who's sadly injured. I think Raheem Sterling and Kai Havertz and Christian Pulisic and Mason Mount and all the other players they can play in this game. I think Chelsea, who have had some tough days at the office before the World Cup break, showed us they're able to beat the poor teams quite comfortably against Bournemouth in midweek. They'll show us that again here. So I think Chelsea will win. Do I think Forest will score? I have doubts about Chelsea's defence. I wouldn't put my own money on it. I think Chelsea win a low-scoring game. 1.74 is quite nice. I think Chelsea win without conceding, and it's under 2.5 goals in the match. Keep it quite low. Keep it quite tight. Shade for Chelsea to win.
Indeed, good odds, especially for an ACCA. We will see next which is your ACCA for this match day. But before, Armin was asking you what is your banker for this match day. So, Tom, tell us which one is your favorite bet.
Well, I keep going Man City. I'm not going to stop going for Man City because I think they're going to win 33, 34 games this season. If you want to make it more interesting, in the preview, we went for them to win by 3 or 4 goals. But to be safe, go Asian handicap, minus 1.5. That's a 1.5, fiver for a tenner situation. So City win, Asian handicap minus 1.5.
All right, and I could see a nice ACCA here for favorites to win. Let's see, which one have you chosen?
Yeah, I picked a treble. Last week's came off, so I'm feeling pretty confident about this week. Manchester United, Newcastle United, and Arsenal all to win brings you in at about 5-1, which is not bad at all, as I think they're all pretty decent favourites, but surprisingly long odds.
So, Newcastle, Arsenal, and
Manchester United.
And Manchester United. Take pencil, take notes, Tom. And this is non-stopping. We have more games just in 4 days' time. On the 2nd of January is the next match day for the Premier League. So, Tom Rennie, thank you. Thanks, everyone, of course, for watching. And don't forget to support us so we keep growing. Like the video, subscribe, tell us your tips. And that's it. See you soon. And good luck with your bets. Bye-bye.